Okay, guys, today I want to talk about how last year I quit my 100K salary accounting job, and it was honestly the best decision I've ever made. Now, some of you might be thinking that's the dumbest move or whatever. I had some money saved up, so I knew that I would last another 6 months or so without having another job lined up. I left because the job was honestly toxically demanding, and I would actually have anger spasms like after every workday. And sometimes I'd be working up to like 3 a.m., and it was so normalized that it doesn't even matter what I would say to them or if I threatened to quit, because they would put me in the same position. Uh, I want to start off with I started this job in October 2020. It was peak COVID time. There was late night curfews where you literally could not leave the house after 10 p.m. You literally could not be outside unless you would be like ticketed or something. I had a week of training and online onboarding, and then the manager asked me on the spot if I could work the busy season, which means working on the weekends plus long hours during the weekday starting next week. Remember that I only had a week of training left. This makes it so hard for me to say no because it was my first time, and I also had a friend in this team, so I was more motivated to stay with this team. It was also super normalized, and you basically can't say no or you'll get fired. I was actually going crazy after the first 2 weeks of this schedule, and I still haven't gotten paid because the timing of when I started and then the payroll. 2 weeks without getting paid, and I'm already working 80 hours a week. This is like terrible for me. And I was asking like friends and family, close friends, and a coworker. I was like, should I quit right now? Because this is truly not for me. And even before I started this work, I knew about busy seasons, but I thought I had a bit more time to adjust and get used to the work schedule. I came from a long summer vacation, and the whole days were literally playing games, hanging out with friends, or anything like that. So going from that to working 24/7 was like the hardest adjustments I've ever had to do. And for me, work is just work. It's just my main source of income, and whatever time I have left over is what I want to do. I wanted to do nothing after work. All I wanted to do was lay down or play games, and I had no mental capacity to do anything I loved doing before. Getting a meal with a friend was almost impossible. I worked until 11 p.m. every night. And remember, there was a curfew during this time because it was COVID, so we weren't allowed to be outside for quite a bit of time after 10 p.m. It was honestly too hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Remember, these busy seasons also lasted 1.5 months, and you literally could not just get out of it. And I worked not even a lot compared to my other coworkers. That's how normalized it was. To them, when I logged off at 11 p.m., they said that it was too early and I needed to stay on longer to help out. But that's literally honestly not the way to live. After our busy season in December 2022, they said I'm going to be on another busy season in January. And honestly, that was my last straw. I could not take another 2 months of just suffering mentally and draining me physically. I was eventually put on to the new team, but I had told them, I just came off of one and I cannot do another one. And I would do my work, do as much as I can to be logged off at 6, which is the normal time. I would get messages and call invites to have meetings at 8 p.m. at night for hour long. And one time I literally could not get out of it because that was the only time my manager was free. After that, I literally ran and did hot yoga because I was having a major anxiety attack. And hot yoga is known to, decrease stress levels and also make you feel a lot more rejuvenated after. And hot yoga, dang, it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I recommend it a lot just because how stress-free I was after I finished, even though it was the most challenging thing, being in that heat, and it's my first time doing yoga. I could not take another 2 months of this, so I ended up quitting in January 2023, and it was honestly starting my journey. During that time, it was very hard for me. I had just lost my job, my mistake. I lost the relationship that I was in at the time, had my car get rear-ended, and it felt like my world was honestly crashing down. After a lot of deep thought, I had a lot of self-realization coming in. I took that time to really focus on learning how to journal, manage my emotions, meditate, start reading, and also just getting myself back onto my hobbies. I realized that I had to really pick myself up. I felt so much freedom to do what I wanted to do, and even though the process of managing my emotions were super hard, I had to force myself to do it, because when I look back, I'm so proud of why I did it in the past, and it feels that I made a lot more progress in my life in the past year and a half than my whole other 25 years of living. After that, I learned to go travel. I went to Vancouver, Hawaii. I went snowboarding for the first time, and I also studied for my certification exams and also ended up passing one test. During all of this, I was also interviewing for various roles. It was probably around like 2 companies per month. And in July, I interviewed for this company, and I actually got an offer back after how many months? 6 months of not having a job. Being out of a job for 6 months is not an easy experience. I do not recommend it to everyone. If it was 3 or 4, I could relate, but 6 months is quite a bit, just because you just have so much free time and it feels like you're not really getting anything done. Plus, when you're interviewing for a technical job, a lot of those technical skills, if you do not practice it every day, they do not last. They do not last. So I had enough time to relax and focus on myself and improve myself during the time, and I don't regret quitting. Honestly, it feels like the best decision I've made, in my opinion. I feel that sometimes people get bad reputations for just leaving a job, but when everyone around you knows that it's a toxic environment, you kind of know what you need to do just to get away from it. Whoever's in this position, just believe that everything will work out in the end and you will get out there. I wanted to thank everyone who was watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm manifesting the best for everyone who watches this, and thank you.